This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you by Lads to Leaders. Are you looking for something to help your kids learn to lead, both now and in the future? What if you could find something that offered year-round opportunities, along with a yearly convention to help hone skills and learn to deal with competition in an encouraging and loving atmosphere? In 1968, Dr. Zorn began a program with 8 boys in hopes that they would learn to lead in their churches and communities. Now, 55 years later, there are 20,000 boys and girls each year that participate in activities that are true to the mission of Dr. Zorn's program. Lads to Leaders has trained over 250,000 young people and brings whole congregations together with competitive and non-competitive events, activities for people ages 3 to 103, and Bartimaeus events for special needs participants of all ages. The convention takes place in 10 cities of the U.S., as well as the countries of India, the Philippines, and Romania. The leaders of the future are trained in the present. So go to ladstoleaders.com to check out all the things this program has to offer. That's leaders.com.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis, brought to you by the Always Endure 5K. That 5K is on April the 16th. You can get more information at alwaysendure.com. It's always great to be with my partners in crime, Ben Hayes, Will Mayan. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Just busy life as usual. Got running here and there and everywhere the last couple of days, but good and glad to be with you guys.
Same, excited. I remembered Valentine's Day yesterday. Got my wife presents, so everything's good right now, and ready to hear some expertise on marriage with today's guest.
Well, if you haven't checked it out, they've got some great episodes about Valentine's Day. I listened to a couple this week, and I've gotten some good ideas. And so without any further ado, we're very excited to have the great hosts of the Stronger Marriage podcast with Trey and Lea. Trey and Lea, how are y'all doing today?
We are great. Thank y'all for having us. We're honored.
Glad to be here.
Thank you guys for being with us. It's an honor for us to have you guys on the show. It's just so awesome to see all the stuff that you guys do.
We are honored to be here. We have enjoyed your podcast and your show, and getting an invite is just kind of like extra fun.
Well, we've kind of stolen some of the ideas of the practicality. We want to be practical. You guys are amazing at that. You always go away with some great ideas about marriage. And so we have been wanting to get you guys on. We just kind of worked up the courage to ask eventually. And you said yes. So we sure do appreciate that. So make sure you guys, I guess our first question, if we just jump in here, the Always Endure 5K question of the day. What caused you to get into podcasting and seminars for marriages?
Well, we started seminars a long time ago. We didn't go looking for them. It was just kind of a God thing. Sometimes we have people go, "How did you do this so that we can do this?" And we're like, "We're not really sure." We did a retreat for a church maybe 10 years ago, a marriage retreat. And when we were done, Lea and I said, that would kind of make a good workshop. Some of the material that we used. And it was 2 or 3 months later, somebody called us from that church and said, "I was at that retreat. Would you come to our church and present that material?" And so we did. And from that church, somebody said, "Hey, so-and-so wants to know if you'll come do a workshop at their church." And it just kind of built off of that to where it was just kind of a word of mouth for a while. It has changed a lot. At least our workshop has. A lot of our material, some of the stuff we did at first, we've totally redone. We're always trying to come up with better ways and to communicate, better ways to do things. There's new things out all the time that are hurting marriages, and so we're always trying to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on. And we love our workshops. We try to do about 12 to 15 per year is all we can do time wise. We could do more. We stay booked up about 2 years, 3 years out is kind of where we're at right now. The podcast, a little bit different. It was it's kind of a 2-year-old program that stemmed from a buddy of ours that just kept saying, "Everybody's podcasting. Why aren't y'all?" And our kids.
And our sons are grown, and they kind of said, y'all need to be on podcast. Y'all need to get that going. You need to get that going. And I guess everybody pestered us long enough till we gave in.
Travis pestered us long enough till we gave in. So there it was. I understand.
We didn't really want another thing to do. That sounds terrible. It was like our schedule's already busy. Why do we want to start a podcast? And we kind of made a rule 2 years ago. We're going to do it, but it's going to be simple. We're going to take about 1 hour a week. We are going to do one live version. We're going to put it on the internet. We're not going to edit. We're not going to restart if somebody rings a doorbell or a dog barks, or as 2 weeks ago, my alarm on my phone went off to remind me of something. We just keep rolling right along. And I think part of the novelty of it that folks like is just the rawness of we're just normal folks that have doorbell ring and dogs bark right in the middle of a podcast.
Is this what you guys do full time now? Or is there, do you guys work full time in addition to it?
We have full-time jobs.
Okay.
We are in full-time ministry, work with the Church of Christ in Childress, where we live. We've been here for 19 years. We're going on year number 20. I'm the senior minister. And so to try to balance that, my church leadership, our church leadership, because Lee's a part of the ministry team as well. Our church leadership is all behind us on this marriage ministry. They feel like it is a part of their mission work out into America with us going around. And so they're happy to let us go. We try not to miss too many Sundays. There are a couple of Sundays extra per year we miss because we cannot get back for some reason. We're too far away. Last year was a really awkward year that most of our workshops were far off. And so we missed a few more Sundays than usual. They were so patient. We have some great guys who fill in, some former ministers at our church. And so we really don't skip a beat, but yeah, that's one of the reasons we only do about 12 to 15 per year, is because we're busy with other things that we've got going on.
They're from Childress, Texas, where I hear you can watch your dog run away from you for 3 days. It's so flat.
It's a flat place around here. The sunsets are amazing, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is so cool. So in all of this travel that you guys are doing, and going to these different workshops, going to these different congregations all over the United States, it sounds like you guys are everywhere. What are the most common problems that you guys see in marriages? Like when you're there, I know, because I do enough workshops and things to know people come up to you and talk to you afterwards and in between and ask questions. So what are some of the most common things you guys see?
I think the big one is just pure laziness. People aren't putting in the work into their marriage. They just think, great marriage is going to happen. And we see, we're just proud people get to the workshops, honestly, because we've had couples that have reached out to us, or individuals that have reached out to us after we've been to their town, like 6 weeks later, and going, when are you coming back? And we're like, well, we were just there. And why didn't you come to that one? And they'll say, well, we weren't having problems then. So, we really stress to couples to be proactive and to put in, just daily intentionality into your marriage. Work at it all the time.
Yeah, it's just so common to just kind of push that marriage to the back burner and just think, hey, we're going to have a great marriage without putting a lot of effort into it, without putting a lot of time into it. You get busy raising kids, you get busy paying bills, you get busy doing work, ministry, you get busy little leagues, and all of those things, and you turn around and you've really turned into more like roommates who are just kind of doing life together than soulmates as God designed marriage to be. And that's just kind of an unhealthy situation, because at some point your goal is to get back to, the kids are going to leave home, and that roommate, you're going to have to hope is still your soulmate when the last kid leaves the home. And so you can't wait until your kids leave to decide, hey, we're going to start working on our marriage, because you will have empty nests, but you'll also have a very empty marriage if you're not putting in the effort.
Yeah. And I run into that a lot in counseling with couples. Is just they come in after years of just neglect. It just seems like And I think everybody goes through those cycles. Everybody has those times like we're talking about that are more difficult because you have kids and because the kids are busy and you're busy. But I see that a lot too. So
it's a maintenance issue. We maintain our house, we maintain our cars, our kids. We maintain our kids with well checks. We buy them new clothes when they outgrow them, but we don't really do any CEs or maintenance on our marriage. No one's going to a workshop. Nobody's reading a marriage book. Nobody's listening to a marriage podcast unless they start having problems. And as you said, a lot of couples wait until, hey, we got some issues. We need to work on our marriage. If you'll spend some time working on your marriage when things are going good, instead of waiting until just they're bad, there'll be a lot less bad in your marriage.
What you talk about the idea of maintenance, what are some of those even daily things that maybe y'all would say that couples need to be doing to kind of maintain that maintenance or to continue to be, checking up, whatever it may be? What are some of those practical things from I'll be married 8 years, so give me everything.
We ran across a statistic a few years back that said couples only spend about 4 minutes a day in conversation together without distractions, without kids and televisions and whatnot. Just 4 minutes of face-to-face time. And we just really don't feel like that's enough time to have a strong, healthy marriage. So we stress to couples, find some time in there, whether it's just a little bit of time in the morning before you go off on your day, whether it's right, at the end of the day before bed. We have what we call coffee time in the middle of the afternoon, where we sit down and we talk about, what's going on the rest of the week, just all, that kind of stuff. So we can connect and make sure we're on the same page, because you've really got to have that time.
You fell in love because you talked. I mean, you may have been attracted to your wife because she was pretty, and she may have liked you because you were funny, but you really fell in love because you communicated, and you can't stop that once you get married. It's one of those things you've got to make some time for. Little things throughout the day. Some of those things that you used to do pre-marriage should be things that you do on a daily basis once you have been married. Bragging on one another, pre-marriage, you brag on that new girlfriend or that fiance, everything about them, everything about him that you like. It's, boy, you're handsome. You sure look pretty. And then we don't spend as much time bragging on one another as we should. We don't hold hands as much. We just need to do a better job. All those things that we did before marriage to win our spouse, those things shouldn't stop once we get married.
I like that. That's good stuff too. And that's one of the things I've encouraged people on is get back to those things. If you're finding, those struggles, make sure that what were the things you loved about each other when you got married, before you got married, so are you doing those things? If you're not, start it back, start building from there.
I work with my wife. We work at the same school. And even though we work together, it was still, you had to be intentional, because I could think about, we see each other a lot. And, I'll pass by our office probably 10 times a day just to lay eyes on her. But it was like, okay, you need to be intentional about it. You got to go in there and you got to talk to her and you got to, show your attachment in some way or shape, form, or fashion. But I thought that was interesting, because it was really tempting to kind of we work together. We see each other every day. Sure. We're doing more than everybody else. Well, that was just because we're in the same location, but it didn't necessarily mean that we were, connecting like we should.
Those are just all little things that you could do every day. Valentine's Day being yesterday, we do Valentine's, not because, a lot of folks go, we're not big Valentine's people. We do Valentine's because it's any other day, but you build a marriage that's healthy, even when you have kids, and the things you're doing on Valentine's Day are things you're doing all the time. I don't send my wife flowers all the time, but I do bring her little gifts. I'll pick up her favorite candy bar at the store. She, went out of her way yesterday to do 2 or 3 little things for me, but that's so common. She does things like that all the time. Spending time together is healthy. Marriage is built on friendship, and it's really, really hard to be married to your best friend if you don't ever spend time with them. And so those are all items that you've just really got to have some focus on. Common interests. We're two very different people, and we've had to learn in 33 years of marriage to find some things that we both have in common with one another so that we can go off and have some fun together, even though we don't have to have all the exact same similar interests. All those things are very healthy for your marriage.
I know last night we got home and my wife and I, Kenya, we had planned on going out, and the kids were like, well, y'all could take us out. And we were like, yeah, or y'all could stay home. We're going to go out tonight, just the two of us, because we take you guys all the time. And sometimes it's hard for them to understand that. But I've told people a lot of times the best gift you can give to your kids is a good relationship between the spouse. Is so, in time, they'll understand it and they'll appreciate it maybe more than they do right now, I think.
Yeah. We've heard from our married kids. We have two of our sons that are married, and they've both told us, thank you for setting the example of a healthy marriage for us. We see that now. We see the things that you did and how they were beneficial. So
yeah, your kids are in your kids are in your school of marriage, and you can tell them how to treat a wife. You can tell them how to treat their husband, but they're not going to pick that up as much as by action and you showing it.
That's right.
About 13 years ago, I started opening the car door for Lee. I thought this would be fun. Just another way to say, hey, I love you. You're special to me. And started opening the car door for her. And now it has become so common in our family that when we're out as a family, I'm never able to even get her car door because one of my boys have beat me to it. They just know somebody's supposed to open the car door for mom. I love that because I've taught my kids something about how they treat their wife and their future wife. And our youngest son, who is in college at LCU, has got a girlfriend, sweet Christian girl. And we went out with him the other night, had supper, and we noticed everywhere we went, he was opening the car door for her. And it made my heart proud just because I thought I've taught my kids something right about how to treat someone that you find very precious to you.
So on average, my kids aren't old enough to be grossed out by us yet. And maybe they won't be grossed out. It'll just be normal. But on average, how many grossed out moments should your teenager have viewing you and your wife? Have y'all averaged that out? What's a good average?
I think once a day is pretty great.
Definitely.
I like it.
You don't have to wait for mistletoe. Let them say gross, stop it, get a room. That's very healthy. And it's very healthy for your kids because it tells them my mom and dad love each other. They're connected. Kids' greatest fear today is that something's going to happen to their family. And when they can see their mom and dad being affectionate and love each other, then you put some of those insecurities to bed because they know, hey, my mom and dad love each other. I see them touching each other and flirting with each other and snuggling on the couch. Those are all such healthy things to do.
And not only have they walked in on us, kissing in the kitchen, they've walked in on us praying together. And, that it always kind of catches them off guard a little bit because they know they're interrupting, but that's a healthy thing for them to see as well.
So I know you talked about some of those that daily time that's really important to give to them. What are some other things that maybe some other little practical things that you think can make maybe small things that can make a big change in a marriage?
Encouragement versus criticism is just huge.
Massive.
Really huge. The 5-to-1 ratio, I think Gottman Institute came up with that. You've got to be given 5 positive interactions to 1 negative. We just say be each other's biggest fan, be each other's biggest cheerleader. Everybody has plenty of critics in their life, and your spouse doesn't need to be another one.
Yeah, Gottman said recently that the divorce rate drops to 12% in marriages where there's 5 times more compliments than there are criticisms. And that's a pretty good statistic. I'd love, 12% is a great average to have a divorce rate. And that tells you 2 things. One, encouragement is very important and criticism is very hard. And newlyweds do this real well. They overlook things that get on their nerves about their new spouse, and they just notice everything their new spouse does really well. And we tease them about that sometimes. We always give newlyweds a hard time. You just give him some time. He'll be on your nerves in no time. But as we get married for a while, 33 years, sometimes that reverses, or even 5 or 6 or 7 years. Instead of noticing all the things your spouse does well, we tend to just notice the things that really gets on our nerves about our spouse, and we overlook the things they do well. And that's not healthy. And if you want to change your spouse, if you want to change your kids, if you want to strengthen your marriage, go on the assignment of, I am going to start wearing my family out on giving them encouragement and praise, because you will motivate them to make changes. You will motivate them to do what they're needing to do. Encouragement is just huge.
That's good stuff. And I love Gottman's got all kinds of good things. That idea of attunement, just being able to, just be in line and listen and pay attention. And then along with that, we're going to see the criticisms, but man, make sure you point out the good things too. I think a lot of times that's missing. So great stuff.
Attitude of gratitude. Family devotional time. Fulfilling, organized, fun. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. Moses' words in Deuteronomy 6:4-8 to the children of Israel in the speech that closed out not only his ministry, but also his life, can be overwhelming at times and make us as parents feel like we could be doing more to disciple our children. In the fast-paced life that we live, we're usually just happy if everyone makes it out the door with their shoes on the correct feet. Planning and executing a family devotional time can seem out of reach. We're here to help. The Helping Healing Humor podcast has a tool to help you plan, organize, and execute a fulfilling and fun family devotional time for every member of your family, from toddler to teen. As a member of the Ben and Travis Patreon community, you will have access to tons of content at a small price that will help you grow your spiritual life, disciple your family, or even lead a small group Bible study. Patreon membership fees will help our podcast continue to be better and support the cost of creating and publishing the content that our Helping Healing Humor community has enjoyed. Go to www.patreon.com/Ben and Travis to sign up. Hit the link in the show notes for this month's special offer. As we like to do on the end of our episodes, we do like to ask, and all these questions today have been fun questions, but we do like to ask one to learn a little bit about our guests and their likes and maybe dislikes. And so I'm going to ask you, do you have a television show that you might bring back? What's your jam in the car? Yeah. If it comes on the radio, you have become the performer. And it doesn't matter if anybody's in the car with you or not.
I'm laughing about the jam because lately Trey's jam has been Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. He'll crank that up with the grandbaby. We have a 17-month-old granddaughter, and she can't wait to dance with her pops when Can't Touch This comes on. So
yeah, it's not something we play in the car. It's not something I have on my favorites list. But if I'm hanging out with my granddaughter and I can start that song, she comes a running from wherever she is because she says it's dance time, and we have a good time with that. That's good stuff. That's good.
So here the question that we get about a jam, the answer we get about a jam for a marriage thing is, you can't touch this. That just seems like it doesn't fit, but we'll go with it.
It's just got a great beat, right? Yeah, it's got a great beat. But that's one of them. We're big TV fans. We're big movie fans. One of the things we like to do is watch movies and TVs together. We don't have kids anymore, so we can do that. And so we love streaming marathon and series and things like that. And yeah, we just really enjoy things like that. As for old TV shows, I don't know if we could bring anything back. Seinfeld, yeah, maybe so, but it wouldn't work today. You couldn't get away with the things that they got away with back in Seinfeld. We're rewatching it for about the third time now, and they say things sometimes, and I think, there's no way they could say that today and get away with it. But that's what makes it so good. Didn't have to be so politically correct.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. So Trey and Lea, obviously we're thankful that you've been with us, but we want you to inform those listeners and our viewers on Facebook and YouTube where they can get more information about you guys, maybe have you guys come and do a seminar for their congregation.
You can find every bit of information about us at treyandlea.com. TREYANDLEA.com, treyandlea.com. That's our landing page, and it will take you to all of our social media sites. There's a email address there where you can email if you're interested in more information about hosting a workshop. It's got links to both of our books. Link to the podcast. So yeah, everything you want to know is right there at treyandlea.com.
Yeah, upcoming workshops, if we're going to be kind of in your vicinity or area, all of that's on there. If you can go ahead and start doing registration, it'll give you a link to, hey, you can go ahead and register for this workshop, whatever it is. But that will get you to where you need to go. And we'd love you to connect with you on social media. We love our social media followers.
And you got some great quotes. I always love them. They always strike me right in the heart, but and convict me, which is awesome. And we need that challenge. But thank you again for being with us.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.